Continue bus the journey onward by Master Atlan, chapter 68. May I have this dance? Well, aren't you the most dapper bunch at the dance? Yang said with a giggle as the remaining members of Noctix walked in. The lovely blonde was dressed in a white dress that complimented her form nicely. I hope it wasn't too hard to get them dressed up. Naruto and Sasuke stood. We're not animals, Yang. Alright, it was pretty difficult to get them to stand still for the photo. Tenten giggled. She stepped past the podium Yang was positioned behind before spinning around. And now that we're at the dance, she lunged forward and grabbed an arm. Let's dance. Oh, why me? Naruto cried. You're probably unfamiliar with this expression, but we're putting the bandage off quick. I know what that means. I know what that means, Tenten. But why me first? Yang and Sasuke stood at the entrance and watched with amusement as Naruto and Tenten settled on the dance floor with the others. The ruby boxer quickly pulled out her scroll to film the whole thing. He is going to hate this, but on the plus side, Weiss is totally going to get her revenge for that recording. The blonde chuckled before looking at the swordsman beside her. What about you, lover boy? Got any plans for the dance? I'm thinking about finding a corner and making myself at home. Her expression fell to one of disappointment as he just shrugged. You asked. You, Ruby, John, Neptune, and I'm pretty sure Naruto, once he can slip away. Can't you kids enjoy yourselves? Yang moaned. I'm sure there's someone here looking forward to a dance with you. Sasuke just nodded his goodbye and stepped into the banquet to disappear with the crowd. Once Yang had gotten a sufficient amount of footage taken, she pocketed her scroll and went back to her greeting job. But the next door to walk in got her immediate attention as she flashed a big smile. Just the dates I was looking for. Don't you two look great? Thanks. Son grinned and fixed his tie, wearing an actual dress shirt and even buttoning it up to hide his usual exposed chest. He grimaced as he tried to pry the thing off from his throat. But this thing feels like a noose. Did I really have to wear it? Well, if it helps, it really draws the eyes. Son stopped fiddling with his tie and instead grinned at Yang's compliment. The blonde then looked at the person beside him with a smile. And how are you feeling today? Better. Much better, Blake said with a laugh as she stood much taller and firmer than she did just a day ago. Her complexion had returned to its olive color as she had her hair tied in a purple bow for the occasion. What remained of her bang that she couldn't get rid of after nearly a day of sleep was hiding behind makeup, and after eating some snacks and a meal laid out for her by her team when she woke up, she was filled with energy. You and Weiss really did a great job preparing this place. Aw, thank you. Yang preened with pride at the compliment. We're working with Weiss. The objective is compromise. I wasn't going to get everything I wanted, so I sacrificed a few things to her artistic choice in exchange for mine. The blonde girl smiled menacingly and chuckled before quickly shaking it off and greeting her friends again. Have fun at the dance. Actually, Yang, I was wondering if we could have a dance. Blake asked to show you I'm back to form and to thank you for putting me straight. Yang smiled and walked out from behind the podium to offer her partner her hand. Blake took it before they both looked at Sun. I'll man the post while you two have fun. The monkey finally took over Yang's position as the duo waved him off and stepped to the floor. Don't forget about me, Sun called out to them, laughing as they started to dance. After hearing about what Yang said to her to get her to finally new rest, he could completely understand why Blake felt in debt to her partner, and they looked like they were having fun. Well, he couldn't have asked Yang's job after she worked so hard, so it was time to greet people. Sun grinned. Hey, welcome to dance, and get a drink, grab some food, and dance, I guess. How are you doing today? I feel like a fucking prostitute out on display. You look fine. Can you stop whining for a moment and just try to have fun? How can I have fun when I didn't even want to come out to this bullshit party in the first place? If I wanted to see awkward assholes shuffling around with a bitch they want to bone, I'd stayed in and forced Hugo to watch porn. You're right. Why did we even try to bring you along? Don't worry. I think we can sell this. Suigetsu stepped up to the podium with Sun and pointed at his teammate. Hey, buddy, does she look like a whore dressed like that? He wanted his dance partner back immediately. Hunting, tell me, Minato, when was the last time you were at a dance like this? I think it was at a dance at this school. I remember it being just as much of a painfully awkward affair as this one. Oh yes, I think I remember seeing that. Peter laughed along with the other adults and teachers who stood to the side with their punch. The short, lively man laughed. I remember some very heated arguments between you and young Mr. Brown when you were still students of the school. Linda, Ooblik, and James all turned to the blonde husband, and he shamefully nodded. Crow and I were always looking for some reason to bark at each other. And Jiraiya chuckled. You two made enemies quick. Okay, I get it. Can we move on? Thanks for letting Sakura join the dance, husband. Tsunade thanked the headmaster as she watched her apprentice dance around in a pink dress and a smile on her face. I'm sure she'll appreciate a chance to take a break from me. It's not trouble whatsoever. With the first assignment being taken out tomorrow and the tournament coming up soon, these young students will find themselves quite stressed by what they have on their shoulders. Husband said. Everyone needs a chance for a break and to relax. I have to agree with you, Osma. Ironwood said. Things will start to get hectic from here on out, which means we have to enjoy the time we're offered now. The general downed his cup before stepping out and offering his hands to Glinda. May I ask for a dance? The lovely blonde professor let out a deep sigh and placed the drink down before taking his hand. They walked out the floor as she whispered, You are so childish. I like to think I'm taking the initiative to enjoy the moment. Mr. Namikaze, a small group of girls and boys came up to the blonde instructor. Will you dance with us? Me? Beata blinked. Are you sure? I mean, I bet there are other people here that are looking for a dance partner. Please, sir, please. He looked nervously at his associates. I suppose, hey, that was enough for him to be dragged out onto the dance floor. Did he just, Milady? Poor interrupted Jiraiya, surprised to walk over to Tsunade. Would you care to dance? I'd be honored. Tsunade gulped down her punch and burped before tossing the empty cup to Jiraiya. Hold that for me. Come on, big guy, show me those moves. Oh, madam, just wait until you see what I have to offer in the ways of dance. Jiraiya looked down at the cups in his hands before turning to Osman and Ublik. Did someone spike the punch? The two teachers sipped from the cups before shaking their heads. Jiraiya pulled out a flask. Want me to? The two men turned to each other before holding out their cups. Just like the old days. Hunting? I'm serious. I'll surrender on bringing my hood, but why do I have to wear these feet killers? Ruby bemoaned and looked down at her feet, doing her best not to move, and so the heels she was forced to wear didn't dig into her skin. Her pout worsened. They're awful, and I can't believe Weiss and Blake can fight in these things. I can't believe Pyrrha became a champion while wearing them. Oh, they can't be that bad. I'd like to see either of you try wearing them. Ruby turned on her blonde friends, making them flinch and lean back in surprise as she grumbled. Whoever made these shoes is an enemy to womankind. Naruto and John shared a cautious look, understanding not to bring up her heels again. It's the dance almost over. It's barely even started. Ruby's defeated whine was actually something they could agree with. Didn't look like this event was going to get any easier anytime soon. And John sighed and swirled his drink around in his cup. Do you think it says a lot about us that we're staying over here during a dance, grappling about how long it's going on, and not even trying to join in, opposed to the alternative of us going out there without partners, dancing by ourselves, and feeling like tools while we do so? Naruto asked. I'm fine over here. Ruby raised her cup. Ditto. Yeah, not like it matters. The Beacon trio looked to Neptune by their side, dressed to the nines and looking wonderful, but somehow completely drained of energy and spirit. The blue-haired teen looked out over the crowd with something akin to envy as he muttered to himself. Son actually managed to get a date and keep us dancing with that pretty girl from Atlas, and even Lee and Gar ran off to do something else, but whatever. So what if we don't get to stylishly dance around and look totally cool and in control when we do? Some people are just not born to be dancers. That's okay. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing at all. Neptune, you okay? I'm fine. Totally fine. He said in an anxious voice that didn't even seem to convince himself. Why do you ask? Because you look like you're spiraling. The Haven boy scoffed. What? Me? You're crazy. It's spiraling. I don't even know what that means. I'm as cool and collected as ever. None of them looked convinced, but they did get to question him as they were joined by two others. Naruto and Sasuke just finished their dance, and the brunette, they're happy to get the chance to be with her partner, and even Sasuke showing a faint smile, which meant the only person left from Noctix to dance was Kiba, but he was too into enjoying his dance with Neon to realize that. Well, at least he's having fun, Titan said as she caught her breath and wiped her cheek. And why are you all just staying over here to the side? Boredom, crippling social anxiety. I refuse to dance with these torture devices on my feet. Naruto, you're bored because you're not doing anything. John, you aren't nearly as anxious as you think. And Ruby, You look absolutely adorable. The three leaders all mumbled to themselves. The defense is quickly broken down by the stick user's assertions before she turned to the last member. What about you, Neptune? Oh, I'm good. I'm just standing here, standing. With his failure to offer even a pathetic excuse like this, like his friends, he sweated them. I mean, I have got two left feet, scoliosis, something debilitating that stops me from dancing. They all just stared at him in confusion. Fine, you got me. I can't dance. The Haven student confessed his powerful mental defenses are crumbling down with very little opposition. Are you happy? I can't dance to save my life. Can't keep a beat. Can't match rhythm. And my feet are just big lumps of stupid feet stuff. He emphasized his point by badly tapping his feet on the ground. The tall young man slumped over sadly. I hate going to dances. Attendant walked up and took his arm. Come on, let's go. Huh? He blinked, but I can't dance. I just explained that. It's a very intimate and shameful detail of my life I just talked about. Dude, the brunette chuckled. You're thinking about this too much. You know you don't have to make any grand, amazing movement to actually be dancing, right? Really? As a friend of mine once told me, girls dance while guys awkwardly shuffle on their feet in one place. The blue-haired boy perked up. I can stand in one place. I can totally do that. I'd certainly hope so. As Tintin dragged Neptune off to make an attempt to dance in, the others decided they were going to change their spots. Naruto led the way up the stairs to the second floor as Ruby cautiously followed him. Every move she made very slowly and deliberately to make sure her heels didn't cause her to break her neck. Sasuke came over with a cup of punch to satiate his thirst and followed after them. John raised an eyebrow and watched Uchiha head upstairs. Did he stay to know where he was going? Hunting? Oh my! There are so many people doing so many different dances. It looks like so much fun. The young girl excitedly noted as she watched all the students and even some adults dance around together. She had quite an enjoyable little laugh when she spotted some of her friends in the crowd. The two men standing at her side looked at each other before looking to Penny. The girl having to watch all the fun and festivities from the side from the side under their watch. They were sure she was only putting on a smile because she was too kind to complain. They had to admit it was a little mean, word saying that she could only go to the dance if she promised to take her cards with her. It was also hypocritical that they could see their illustrious leader cutting a rug with a beacon professor from here after telling her she couldn't dance. One of them turned to the charge. I'm sorry you have to come here just to stand around and watch Penny. Oh, it's quite all right. The freckled orange-haired girl continued to smile happily while standing between the two soldiers. I am content just being able to be here at my very first school dance. The guilt pulled in their stomach as they saw the sweet girl spit on her feet. I even got to wear a formal dress, and it looks very nice on you, Penny. You look very cute. Don't be weird, Patrick. Hump a duck, John. I'm trying to be nice. She has to stand here with us when she should be allowed to. Hey, the two Atlas soldiers looked over to see a small group of students coming over to greet them. Tamara gave a lightly laugh and strolled up to the soldiers while her teammates followed up behind her. The sandy blonde had a big smile on her face as she approached the Atlas crew and gave a chuckle through her teeth. Hey, what are you guys even doing here? You know there's a dance going on, right? Yes, ma'am. One of the Atlas soldiers answered as the girl continued to move around and try to talk with them. We're not actually supposed to talk. Duh, of course you're not. You're supposed to dance. That's what you do at a dance. Tamara grabbed one of the soldier's hands and started to shift in place, moving him along as well as the rhythm of the song. The shade upperclassman laughed. Oh man, you're pretty good. Thank you, but seriously, come on, man. Don't stop dancing now. Tamara stifled her laugh. Unless you Atlas guys don't have the skills to keep up. No, that's not. I do believe that's the reason they are so hesitant. Lee announced this, sliding on the dance floor and showing a quick flash of his feet to challenge the uptight soldier. Come and meet me on the dance floor. I think you'll find my skills are unmatched. Unmatched? The soldier was insulted at the quick dismissal as he frowned and stepped up. I'll show you how we do it in Atlas. Whoa, he's excited. Concord stayed back, hands in his pocket, besides the second soldier before nudging him. Hey, you gonna let your friend there show you up? Oh, like hell, I'm gonna let John look good. Make way, everyone. Let me show you how I won the training camp's annual pop and lock showdown. Tintin watched her guard step over to the dancing floor and start to indulge in the fun with everyone else. The ginger-haired girl then looked between Conqueror and Gara as they stood with her. Why did you make them leave their posts? I'm sure Junior Onward would not be happy to see them do that. Well, we saw you standing there by yourself and thought you could use a little help. The older boy shrugged, sans his face pain for the effect. It might be breaking a few rules, but that's just part of the course at dances like this. My rebellious face! Penny gasped with joy. That is sensational. What comes next? Gar held up his hand. Want to dance? Absolutely. Penny immediately took his hand and ran into the crowd. I studied a myriad of dances in preparation for today. I'm so happy for the chance to use them. Kokoro nodded from the side and pulled out a flask he sneaked into his suit pocket. I think that counts as the good deed for the year. Hunting? John came down to the ground floor again. Yang had come to join them after finishing with her greeting job. Immediately doted on Ruby for her attire. After staying on the second floor watching the dance go on and reminiscing on their crazy adventures during their time at Peking, John had to say he was having fun. He came down to get a refill on punch and offered to take his friend's orders too. He walked around the side of the dance floor and looked over the people who were still going. Lauren and Ren were still in the center of all of it. The short berserker having the time of her life while dancing with her partner. Tina was sitting down to take a deep breath while Neptune continued to enjoy his new revelation that he didn't have to move around to dance. He couldn't be happier. If the girls he was dancing with and the expression on his face were any sign, even Gar was dancing with the pretty freckled girl while his sister and partner danced with some Atlas soldiers. He couldn't see Kiba or his date anywhere, which was kind of odd because they were in the middle of the floor up until now. John shrugged and made his way to the concessions before someone caught his eye. He saw the beautiful white-haired girl sitting on a chair off by the wall, relaxing and probably basking in the pride she felt at a job well done. She and Yang had put in a lot of effort in a short period of time to bring this dance together and make it look so good. Now that everything was settled and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves, the heiress was taking a moment to see her triumph. There were people from every kingdom here tonight, and they were all having fun at an event she made possible. That probably did wonders for the future owner of a super company like the SDC. But that wasn't what caught John's eye the moment he saw her. He carefully approached the chair by her side and spoke up to get her attention. Hey, Weiss. Hi, John. Either she was too tired to put in the effort, or he had stopped noticing the exasperation in her voice when she referred to him. Whichever it wasn't total refusal to acknowledge his existence. So he took the chance to take the seat at her side as they watched the people dancing to the music. How are you enjoying the dance? Oh, yeah, it's great. You really outdid yourself this time. He thought it would be better for his health to not mention the fact that all he and the others had done so far is barely dance and watch from the side with a drink. Thank you. It seemed to be the right choice, as Weiss looked to be bursting with pride. Although I can't take all the credit, Yang did do half the work, even though I did most of the decorating. The white-clad girl felt she needed to add that on the back of her statement before she showed a content smile while looking over the dance. She spotted Blake happily talking with Sun and some of their friends, and some teachers getting in on the fun too. I'm glad we made it work. I'm proud that we got to enjoy this. Yeah. Speaking of which, shouldn't you be with your date? Weiss looked at him and blinked oddly before shaking her head. No, not at all. I didn't come with one. And before you think of asking no, that doesn't mean you can go ahead and ask you to be my date. No, not at all. Yang shook his head nervously and in confusion on his face. So, did you really not come here with anyone tonight? No, Weiss said. No one asked me to come, and I'm not sure I would have said yes anyways. I was very busy with preparing the dance. No one asked her. John quickly looked between the hare's eye and him strangely, and the second floor like he thought he would connect something. John, are you okay? You're acting weirder than usual. I'm fine, totally fine. John jumped out of his seat and fixed his collar and tie before pointing back. Hey, I gotta go somewhere real quick, so I'll see you later. Great dance, Weiss. He hurried off before he could hear if Weiss said anything. He tried to carefully make his way through the crowd, jostling some people and whispering his apologies as he made for the stairs. However, he stopped when he spotted a head of red hair wearing a red dress making her way up the stairs as well. He hadn't seen her almost all night, and the first sight he had was of the redhead without a happy expression and a body language that didn't suit her. John hesitated when he reached the stairs between finishing what he set out to do or Pyrrha. He was ashamed that he hesitated for even a moment. The blonde followed up the stairs and spotted the walkway going along the wall before coming out to a balcony. When he spotted his partner standing out there by herself, he quickly walked up to her. Pyrrha, His partner looked stunned in her dress, standing in the moonlight. Everyone had looked great, and Pure was pretty all the time. But something about her in a red dress that matched her hair so precisely made her look almost ethereal. He came back to reality when she turned to look at him, but instead of a beaming smile that matched her beauty, it was a muted one he saw instead. "Hello, John. What are you doing out here? Everyone else is inside." "I know." She smiled, but this time he noticed something like melancholy or resignation in her voice. "I just wanted to get a little fresh air before going back in there." "Well, what about your date? Are they?" John paused for a moment before closing his eyes and biting his lip. If he hadn't just gone through the same thing with Weiss, he would never have even imagined it as a possibility. Did you come with anyone?" "No." Pierre gave a soft chuckle as one lacking energy or actual joy. "I came by myself. I guess I should have joined the stag party, huh?" I'm sorry, Pierre." He felt guilty for having brought it up in the first place. He wasn't sure why. He had just assumed that she was going to be coming here with someone, but a part of him couldn't imagine someone not talking and taking the chance to ask a person as great as her out. He swallowed the lump beneath his throat and stepped closer to the banister with her. "I don't know why someone wouldn't ask you. I think people are afraid of me because they think they couldn't match up to the standards they imagine I have." The confusion must have been clear on his face because she snickered and elaborated. "They think I'm a champion. They think I'm untouchable and undefeatable. I have a talent for fighting and strength to match it. And with them added together, I suppose I've made something of an image for myself. They probably think I would look down on them if they tried to speak with me. So they stay away from me. When you've made an image of being untouchable, you realize there aren't many people left around you." Pierre sighed and shook her head. "It sounds so pretty when I say it out loud. I should consider myself blessed for all my fortune, but here I am complaining about it, Pyrrha. And I should be all over it already." Pyrrha turned back over to face him, her smile a mix of sadness and hope. "I already had a friend to tell me that despite my standing, that shouldn't stop me from doing anything. I should have listened more closely. I should have taken the words to practice instead of just to heart. No one asked me, but in turn, I didn't ask anyone else because I was too busy feeling sorry for myself to ever even consider that an option. If I did." She shook her head and stepped out to John, looking him in the eyes. "I would have gone up to someone and asked, 'Hello, would you like to go to the dance with me?'" John stood in silence. The redhead smiled contentedly and nodded. Next time I'll have to do better." Pierre stepped around him and left the blonde to stand alone on the balcony. He took a deep breath and then stepped up to the banister and leaned against it. He ran his hands over his face inside him. Why did he have to be so stupid all the time? Why did everyone have to be like that when the time needed something more? Hunting. "Okay, place your bets. What do we think will happen to us next semester?" "Oh, that's a good one." Ruby muffled over Naruto's proposition as she, Yang, and Sasuke considered their options. "I think we'll get super big name recognition from everyone around for how awesome we are, because next semester will be second years, which means we can take on assignments without having to wait for the end of the year. Could you imagine all the crazy fights and adventures we've been on since we've got here? But this time, people will actually know who we are." The little redhead jumped in place. "Oh, I'm so excited. What about you, Sasuke?" With our luck, we'll probably discover a new form of Grim," the Chief pessimistically noted with a slip of his punch. "That has a razor-sharp body, can teleport at whim, and imprints on one of us as either its partner or primary target. Needless to say, that we'll have trouble explaining it to Glinda. I don't know if we'll be able to do much of anything next semester." Yang saw the odd looks she was getting from her friends before she grinned and shrugged. "I mean, me and my team are gonna be world renowned when we win the Battle Festival without even breaking a sweat." "Oh, that's right. I forgot we were going to win the Battle Festival tournament." Ruby tripped before leaning back with Yang. The sisters turned to the fondness and Uchiha with smug looks on their faces. "How's it feel to know future champions must be pretty great, right? I was gonna feel bad when we yanked that champion out from under them, but I think I'm over it now. You?" Sasuke nodded in agreement. Guess we'll just have to live with your tears on our consciousness." Oh, there will be tears," the boxer assured in a manner that was still intimidating despite the fact that she was in informal wear. The group of friends laughed before Yang spotted their stragglers. "Hey, boy, and what do you think is going to happen next semester? And you can't say cry in defeat." John ignored the question as he stepped up. He stopped with a frown. Why didn't you ask Weiss to come with you?" It was a moment of silence before Sasuke realized that he was the one being asked. Toshio looked befuddled. I didn't know I don't know where this come from. I'm asking why you came alone. Why didn't you ask Wisa? John continued. She's sitting down there with nobody to talk to and no one to dance with. And I'm pretty sure both of those should be with you, John. I didn't ask anyone to dance because I wasn't bothered. I wasn't bothered. She was busy with preparing this whole thing, but she's not now. The scraggly blonde took a moment to take a deep breath and clear his head. Okay. I might just be really a little coming off of the end of another conversation I just finished, and I might be overcompensating for the fact that I apparently can't tell when people have something together or not. But I mean, you like Weiss, right? And Sasuke stood stunned by the abrupt question, quickly looking around to make sure others didn't overhear. He turned to his other friends, only to see them watching the discussion like an interested audience. Sasuke shook his head. Why do you even think that? Because you spent all your time together during the first semester. You talked together, and there was that library study session where you were talking about other stuff. And out of all of us, I thought you guys had like some kind of mutual respect with each other, like your weird families and your background. And I don't know. I just thought you looked really happy when you were hanging around with her. John Sasuke sighed and shook his head. That was before the incident with my brother. After that, she and I didn't talk for a long time. We're a little better now, but whatever we had before. But you still like her, right? Right? John pressed yes or no question. Sasuke. Young spoke up, her and the others hanging on every word. How do you feel about our resident ice queen? The Uchiha hesitated for a moment, and that second of doubt was enough for them to come to their conclusions. If you like her so much, why didn't you think about coming here with her? And Sasuke looked uncomfortable before petulantly rolling his eyes. Because I've already caused her enough problems as is. I wasn't honest. My family problems. Plus, after all, she's already done to help me with my parents. The raven-haired boy looked uncertain. I just can't imagine that she would ever see me like that. Well, I can, to announce. And you know what? You know what I see? The huntsman in training snatched Sasuke's drink from his hand, downed it in one go, tossed the cup aside, and gave a hefty burp. As the others stared in surprise, he whispered his apology before grabbing Sasuke's shoulder. I see you going down there, being with a person that makes you feel happy and comfortable, and then dance with her like she taught you. Now go. Sasuke was shoved down the walkway by John before he took the hint and made the rest of the way down himself. When he was gone, John nearly fainted and leaned back into the bars for support. His heart was beating so fast he thought his head was going to pop him. Damn, John, I didn't see that coming. Naruto stared with a chuckle as he helped his friend up to his feet. You need a drink to calm down? No, I can't stick around because the biggest idiot at this dance tonight has been me, and I've got to make up for it. See you guys later. I've got a promise to keep him. Yang snickered. Do I make the best dances or what? And Pyrrha sat back in her chair and watched all the other couples dance happily together. Many of them simply had smiles on their faces while they floated across the floor so majestically. Some others were laughing as if a joke had passed between them, unheard by the ruckus surrounding them. And she even spotted some sharing a kiss on the cheek or on the lips. She was disappointed that she had wasted her first dance by hesitating for so long. Hey, the redhead looked up and saw Tintin pull a chair over to sit by her side. The brunette instantly had a sympathetic expression on as she sat with her friend. You feeling okay? I haven't seen you all night. I'm sorry, I've been a bit distracted. The champion fixed some hair out of her eyes and hid it behind her ear. I've been too deep in my thoughts and missed a lot of opportunities. Didn't place her hand on her friend's knee. Anything you want to talk about? Nothing that wouldn't make me seem cheap and shallow. Pyrrha muttered to self-deprecatingly. When she looked over and saw Tintin's honest expression, the champion gave a faint smile and nodded. I promised not to laugh. Pyrrha started to explain what happened to Tintin. She was embarrassed to be explaining this all to her friend, feeling foolish and a little childish talking about it out loud, but she did feel a bit better getting it off of her chest. When she finished, Tintin could only show an understanding smile and squeeze in her hand. Pyrrha, hope you don't feel insulted, but I think you're acting a little dumb. Oh, so you agree? Sorry. She got out while the redhead just chuckled to herself. But as much as I think that situation would be perfect, it is kind of storybook. You can't expect someone to know what you're feeling so easily. I mean, I know it's hard to admit your feelings, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't. Pyrrha finished. The champion let out a heavy sigh and leaned back into her chair with a groan. I suppose there's an ironic lesson in the center of all this for me to decipher and learn from to be a better person. Want to leave it for later? Oh, yes, please. The girl's shared laugh, Pierre's energy still not in it, but with some relief from finally getting her worries off of her chest, she took a deep breath and nodded. I hope by the time the next dance comes around, I'll have finally asked someone to come with me. Tintin gave an agreeable hum as they sat together in silence. The brunettes sent sparing glances to the redhead beside her, trying not to let Pierre notice as she looked her over. The brunette felt her face heat up before she shook her head, embarrassed and praying that she didn't notice that she felt her heart to speed up as she muttered. Hey, Pierre, I know you might be a little too tired to actually dance, she said meekly as she squirmed in her chair and hoped her skin wasn't flushing. But if you don't mind, would you... Oh my god, what? Pierre sat up in surprise at her friend's sudden exclamation before she heard the multiple laughs and snickers from the crowd. The redhead looked up and nearly fell out of her seat. John? Pierre, I'm sorry. I tried my best, but I couldn't keep my promise. I couldn't find a frillier dress on such short notice, but I still think this one looks pretty. The blonde leader puffed his chest out proudly, which looked quite ridiculous in the small out he had forced himself into on such short notice. The outfit looked like it would tear off him at any moment, but the blonde persisted, standing proudly and looking at his partner. How do I look? Pierre doubled over. John, she struggled out of her seat, trying to control her fit of laughter and wiping her eyes. You didn't actually have to wear a dress. I thought that was just a joke. Not at all. I made a promise and I'm keeping it. John stepped up to Pierre as she stopped giggling to listen to him. I'm sorry for just assuming you were going to come with someone. I'm starting to realize that might be a problem I have, but I want you to know I didn't think someone was going to ask you because you're popular or a celebrity or something. I just thought someone would ask because you're a great person to be with. John smiled. I couldn't imagine people not seeing you like that, but I guess that's my fault for just thinking about all that the same way I did, which I'm paying for right now. He looked back at the multiple flashes on student scrolls as they savored this moment. I know how stupid this might sound, considering I've pretty much just shot myself in the foot, but do you want to come dance with me? There was still a tear in Pierre's eyes, but she wasn't totally sure if it was there because she was laughing or for something else. She stuttered, Hey, Pierre felt a nudge on her back and looked behind to see Tintin giving her a big smile from her seats. Looks like you won't have to wait until the next dance after all, huh? The redhead blinked for a moment and collected her thoughts before turning back to her partner. She smiled and took his arm before stepping into the crowd. It would be my pleasure. I forgot to say this before, but your dress is beautiful. Thank you. I quite like yours as well. Tintin continued to laugh from her seat and clapped as she saw the partners start their dance. That seemed to set everyone else off as they clapped too, either for the bravery of wearing something like that to an event filled with students knowing what would happen the next day, or because their dancing was enough to get everyone else started again. She wasn't sure, but she watched her friends dance around with the biggest smile on their faces. John spun Pierre out by her hand and pulled her back in with a snap. The champion giving a hearty laugh as she had the time of her life. In just a few minutes, her smile and joy lit up brighter than she had ever seen before, more than she was sure she'd ever get out of her. She had to admit that something as crazy as coming back to a dance in a dress just to apologize to someone for not asking them out was lunacy. But it was exactly what she needed. A punch. Attendant blinked and realized she was flanked by Nora and Duran. They had snuck up on her while she was in her thoughts. The fighter in the suit held out the cup, which Tintin took in with a nod. Thank you. You okay? Nora asked. Oh yeah, I'm just glad to see Pierce out of her slump. Tintin said. It's good that she's finally out there getting her dance. Just a little miffed about who she's dancing with, right? She looked between the orange-haired girl and the black-haired boy. That's your leader, remember? And we have John, and we love John, and we'll love him forever. But that doesn't mean we condone him. We condone clam jamming. Tintin and Ren looked at the ginger oddly as she tilted her head. Was that not the right phrase? Honeypot block. Ren shook his head. No, that's hardly an appropriate thing to say at a dance, and And it wasn't like that, Tintin affirmed. I just wanted to lift her spirit a little, but I guess it wasn't me she needed for that after all. The three sat in silence for a moment, the music playing around them to feel it. She noticed her friends were giving her kind and understanding looks of empathy, but they weren't convinced by what she said. She wasn't quite sure how well she was convincing herself either. Tintin scratched her cheek. Maybe I should start taking my own advice, huh? Hey, Nora sat up close to her friend and warmly smiled. Just give it time. You'll know the right moment, and if it makes you feel any better, she offered her hand. I'll let you dance with the prettiest person at the ball. Huh, I'll take that offer. Tintin placed her hand in Nora's. Nora reached over and plopped it down on Ren's instead. The brunette boy should have looked before he sighed. Nora, I'm a boy. I'd be considered more handsome than pretty. Yeah, you should be, but you look better than any girl at this dance. Until you grow a beard, you're pretty to me. An uncontrollable laugh came out of Tintin as her spirits were raised. Ren took the chance to stand up and help her to her feet before they stepped away. The burgundy-dressed girl pointed at Nora, who grinned with joy. You sit right there, okay? I'm going back for a dance with you next. I'm counting on it. Hunting. So, she did not expect something like this when she imagined this dance up. At first, she thought he was just being an idiot coming back in a dress like that, either just to get a laugh or as some kind of cruel dare he had to complete. But he was really wearing a dress that looked like it would fit her much better than him, and he was dancing with Pyrrha while doing so too, and she loved it. The crowd had their fun at first, but when they saw the duo start to dance, it got on fast. Now John was getting pats on the back or celebrating cheers from the other couples. Lord knows what reasons they imagined for why he came dressed like that, which were probably so far away from whatever the real reason was, that it was ridiculous. But John was probably going to be famous with the student body now, for better or worse, and they seemed to be enjoying themselves. White saw someone step up to her side. In the corner of her eye, she looked up and blinked before sitting a little straighter in her chair. Hello, hey, Sasuke weakly returned. He stood there for a moment, trying to decide if he wanted his hands in or out of his pocket before pointing. Is the chair taken? The one right next to her. If anyone had taken it, she couldn't remember. Not at all. She nodded and took the seat. They both sat in relative silence as the band played the next song, and the students got into the next beat. Congratulations on the dance, by the way. He finally spoke up. You did a great job. Thank you, she said. That was the same compliment that she had gotten from everyone that she had met tonight at one point or another, but him bringing it up left her feeling a little edgy, perhaps because she knew he was trying to make a small talk and he wasn't really good at it. What brought you down here? I thought you were staying up on the porch with others. Someone drank my juice and pushed me down here. Somehow she felt like she wasn't going to get any further context for that. You were working very hard on making this dance possible. Sasuke continued past the last conversation. I'm sure you were very focused on the work you were doing. So if someone asked you to accompany them to the dance, would you have accepted? But no one asked me. Sasuke took a deep breath and nodded. That is true. What about you? Wise countered. You didn't come here with anyone. Did you not want to? Well, I thought it didn't matter. Sasuke answered. He didn't think of asking the one person he wanted to come with as his date. So coming along just felt natural after that. Are you sure? I'm thinking there are quite a few people here who would like the chance to dance with you. She had noticed some of the other women sparing him looks when he walked around the ground floor earlier, especially that red-haired girl from the vacuum team who looked to try and talk with him before her teammates pulled her back. She didn't want to sound petty about it, but something about all those looks irked her. The observation didn't even seem to register with Sasuke. Uchiha sat back in his chair with his hands linked together. Then I should apologize to them because I didn't come here even considering to dance with them. Oh. And did you consider dancing with anyone? Sasuke looked over to see Weiss watching him out of the side of her eyes. He looked back forward but gave a small nod. I did, but then I considered against it because I was worried. I hadn't exactly left the best impression, and they've seen me at my lowest and worst points. So imagine they're more disillusioned by me than others. Just thinking about coming with them made me feel like I would be a burden. And why are you saying this now? Because someone else put some sense into me and made me realize, even though I still thought up all these points and excuses for not asking them to come with me, that didn't change the fact that they were the only one I would have liked to come with. Weiss took a deep breath and shuffled in her seat as they sat in silence. The last song finished, and now the whole ballroom was in a lull as they waited for the DJs to play their next piece. It was a hell of a thing to say all this and regret not coming to the dance with someone you liked near the end of it. However, the dance isn't over. Weiss finally mentioned, followed by both teens still in their seats as they let that fact hang over their head. Thankfully, the uncomfortable silence was finally ended by the next song started up. I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end. You set off a dream in me. Weiss sat up in her heart, in her seat, recognizing the song in just a few seconds, and smiling as it played. She looked out over the crowd and saw all the frantic dancing and movements of the last song. Her hair had been changed to slow dances and the occasional waltz. She showed a faint smile with a hint of laugh. It's a bit uncomfortable that you had to feel this way to dance. I know you don't like to dance around, so Weiss paused, looked over to see the scarred hand he was holding out to her. She looked to him and saw him shrug. The guy who made me realize this is dancing right now, and moments away from a wardrobe malfunction. If he can do that, then I'm pretty sure I can put aside my reluctance to dance. Weiss looked at his hand for another moment before placing her palm in his. His large, scarred hand nearly enveloped hers as they stood up together and walked into the sea of dancing students. They came to a stop together and turned before falling into position, their hands closing together on one side as she held his shoulder, his hand falling on her lower back before they pulled in. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. They started to sway alongside the crowd with the rhythm of the song. The position was very unusual for Sasuke because while he held her, he didn't know where to keep his eyes. They shifted from making sure they didn't run into anyone else to just above her head, where he thought he could look. Weiss laughed softly at his behavior as their feet glided over the ground. You really haven't danced before, have you? I was only ever with Itachi as a kid. There was never a need to learn how to dance. He seemed to cherish the opportunity to take his mind off just focusing on dancing. The other week when you were teaching us was the first time I've ever danced. You're surprisingly adept. I had a very good teacher, and I've had a lot of practice. Something about that seemed to interest him. His eyebrow quirked upwards as he smirked. Oh, really? And what was that like? Unbearable, Weiss groaned as they danced around. It was not something a childish age should have to suffer through. I was forced to dance around with other little boys my age who couldn't even distinguish their feet from the floor, not to mention they were either unruly little brats who didn't want to dance with girls, or blushing on the verge of tears from how embarrassed they were. But not you, I'm guessing? Not at all. Ashni cannot fold or falter under such paltry efforts, the white-haired girl said proudly with her nose turned up. I continued through my training and learned all I needed in record time. After that, I attended many balls and dances where I proudly showed the extinguishing prowess of the Shni name. That must have been terrible. It really was. Her proud expression fell with her sigh, relaxing when she knew he recognized how tiresome it was to go along with all the endless pomp and drama. Every time I had to go to one of these events, I had to spend most of it dancing around with dignitaries, the important business folks, and the occasional heir my father suggested I look into because of his connections and family. I did it so much that I was sure my feet shuffled and danced the dance information even while I slept. I guess you probably could have done without dancing tonight then. Just a dance or two in comparison to an entire night is fine, but it does bring back dreadful memories. Awkward partners who doesn't know what he's doing. I have to lead everything, and all of it happening because they're just interested in my last name. They continued to shuffle in place even as Sasuke balked and looked down in confusion. What? Once again, I found myself dancing with someone who is only interested in what my family name and fortune can bring for them. Oh, woe is me. The hair is deadpanned. Sasuke shook his head. Weiss, I don't think like that. You know that, right? Are you sure? She sounded genuinely surprised, but the hint of a raised eyebrow showed her true intentions. I was certain you put much stock in my name, considering you were so sure I had put the same amount of importance in yours. harsh, fair and little deserved, but still quite harsh. Lucia cleared his throat as he nodded. I didn't mean it like that. That was the impression you were so worried about, right? The Schnee noted. You listed off all the dark parts of your family's ledger back when you were thinking about your parents and what your brother and his followers did to us, as well that made did to us, as well that made you drop the facade. I didn't. I won't judge you by your name. Sasuke looked down to see Wise's icy blue eyes staring up into his. I'll never judge you by what your name means or what it has done. What you come from has not defined who you've become. I'll never judge you by the name you were born with, so as you never think of mine either. Never. Thank you, Wise said with a soft relief, leaning into him while their dance slowed to a stop, as to rest her head against his chest. His arms flew around her back as hers came around him as well. Then that's a good first step. This is all so confusing. It really is. I don't know what to do. Neither do I. I think I'll just keep dancing for now. That doesn't sound so bad. Never enough, never ever, never enough, never, never, never enough for me, for me, for me. Hunting. Oh, the trio couldn't in unison as they watched the scenes below them from the best spots. Ruby couldn't control her huge grin as she whispered, "Naruto, are you tapping this one? Nah. Taping this one? Nah." The whiskered blonde looked down with his cheek resting in his hand. I think this is one of those moments we just let happen. You know, I was pretty proud of just knowing I helped to prepare this kick-ass dance party on such short notice. Young's smile was pure joy as she beamed down from above. But I definitely think this was the best thing to come out of this whole ordeal. They watched from up above as Sasuke and Wise continued to dance slowly together. Off to the side, the attendant was waltzing with Pyrrha in a fit of laughter as Ren and John awkwardly did the same. Neither boy knowing exactly where to put their hands. Nora was dancing with Neptune, who had decided he was ready to move outside of the shuffle in place technique and explore his full range of motion. He looked like a running lizard receiving periodic shocks to the genitals, but he was having fun and Nora was enjoying herself. Gar and his team had not only gotten Penny freed, but had started something of a dance competition between Atlas and Backrow. It was odd to see a heated yet a joyful rivalry between the two schools as they showed their moves. And finally, to the side, they saw Blake and Sun standing with some other students, talking about light and easy matters and laughing at the jokes they exchanged. I'm glad she was able to enjoy herself tonight. Naruto nodded. Yeah, it just kind of sucks that Sun took all her attention from you, huh? Yeah, she looks like she had a good night. Naruto balked and shut up. Oh, what? Blake, you wanted to come here with her, didn't you? Young's tone was one of sheer teasing pleasure. I mean, it was kind of nice that Sun asked first, so you reminded her, but you definitely screwed yourself. Is that true, Naruto? Ruby turned to her friend in surprise. Did you screw yourself? No. What are you talking about? Where did this even come from? Oh, don't try to act innocent with me, Buster. You've had your eyes set for a while now, and so daring too. I know you talk about sex with Blake before. Ruby covered her mouth in surprise, and even Naruto was forced into silence. His face heated up until it was red with embarrassment. Or maybe I got that a little out of context. Young admitted with a shrug. She might have been telling me about one of your previous conversations, and you brought up the word sex once. I can't remember. The moment I heard her say that, it came in one ear and out the other. Then don't say crazy shit if you don't even know what you're talking about. Naruto barked as even Ruby shook her head and shamefully at her sister's misinterpretation. The fox Wannis leaned against the railing for support as he took a deep breath. Air harshly flew in and out as he tried to calm the heat that had gathered in his face. Once he did, he looked down over the room, cursing that his eyes immediately strayed over to the black-haired girl in the modest purple outfit. He said, "Look, whatever you think there is between us, there isn't. But there is something between you. Yeah, friendship, mutual respect, a feeling of admiration for how hard she works for her goal. But here's a shocker. I feel that way with a lot of people. I have the same respect and admiration for you two as well, but I'm not going to get on one knee and confess my love." Ruby seemed to not understanding, but Young's smile quirked before he shook his head. "Don't even try to turn that on me. Just please stop trying to play matchmaker or whatever. I'm not in love." "Okay, Fair enough. Yang raised her hands and conceded the point until her eyebrows rose and she leaned against the railing while looking down. But would you honestly be opposed to just one dance with her? She let her question hang in the air and knew it had gotten a reaction as Ruby looked between them for a response. It's late. The dance is nearly over. People are gonna start going home soon, and Blake probably still has some fatigue to sleep off. This might be your last chance until whenever we get the chance to dance again, probably in a few years. So, do you really not even want to dance with her once? The whisker teen looked between the blonde brawler and back down over the room. His hand ran through his hair. But she came with Sun, so do you really think Sun is jealous, covety type of guy? Dude looks like he's struggling not to lie on the ground and just sleep. Plus, if anything, she came here with me, and I'm just renting her out to Sun for the dance. This got a cringe and grimace from Ruby and Naruto respectively. The young leader shook her head. I don't think Blake is gonna like hearing you worded like that. That's why we're not gonna tell her about it. And you also need to make a decision by the time I reach the floor and tell her you want to dance. Yang stated as she quickly stepped off and headed for the stairs before he could stop her. Ruby looked over at her fellow leader as he leaned down into the railing and rubbed his head irritably. She sympathetically patted his shoulder, knowing the pain of what it was like to be the center of her sister's attention. There, the pain will be over soon. God, I hope so. I think she'll be happy to have a dance with you. He sighed and raised his head to look at her as the young leader smiled. So don't look so nervous, okay? Naruto grumbled and scratched his head before standing up taller. He looked to his short friend. Have you even danced once tonight? Nope. And if I keep getting distracted, then I won't have to. Just a bit longer, and I can head back to the room to take these stupid shoes off. She pleaded. Please don't tell her. As long as I'm out of her sight, I can get away without killing my feet. I won't tell her. I'm not that cruel. Good. I mean, maybe I would dance if I changed shoes, but Naruto waited for her to finish her thought, but it never came. He looked back and saw his friend staring out the window with a grim focus. Ruby, I think I saw someone running over the building over there. Hunting. Look, it's our dear general. It looks like our dear general is calling it a night. Think you'll be finished before he spots his broken toys? Oh, I'm sure I'll be done by then. The intruder sat back upon the console and watched her scheme upload to the system. The woman wore a black outfit that clung to her curves and allured those that saw her, but only until she dug her feet or fist into their bodies to topple them over. And now here she was in the center of Beacon's tower with unlimited access to the CCT and taking her time to hatch her plan. Oh, she loved it when she won. Her instincts flew when she heard the sound of cracking metal and looked over to see the elevator making its way open. She uncrossed her legs and stepped around the desk before slowly lowering herself behind it. The moment it opened to reveal its contents to her eyes narrowed. It's the hooded girl in the fox bonnet. There was a dual groan from the other side of her earbud. Ruby stepped forward and carefully with Crescent Rose in hand. I have no idea who could have beaten all those guards, but there wasn't even any mark or cuts on their armor. Why didn't you get Stormer? Because I was busy pulling all the unconscious guards to the side and making sure they were still alive. Naruto slowly stepped forward towards the center of the room as he cautiously looked around. When the loud sound of heels clicking against the ground echoed through the room, his shoulders sagged. Ruby, you don't still need to be wearing those things. Yang isn't here watching you. Oh, duh. Ruby quickly slipped the heels off, letting out a blissful sigh as her feet were relieved from their torturous endeavor. Once they did, the silver-eyed girl looked around and noticed the odd pattern appearing on the screens. Did someone turn them on? I don't know. Naruto stepped around the desk and looked at the monitor to see a black figure appear in the screens. It kind of looks like a chess piece. Was someone playing a game online? Naruto! The blonde spun on reflex just in time to get a heel across his cheek. He was sent tumbling over the desk and through the screen before he crashed on the ground. He saw stars as well as the masked woman landing over him with two black shining weapons in her hands. She spun them into a reverse grip and plunged them down towards his chest. Naruto knocked them aside by slamming his palm into the flat of the blades, covering his hand in his aura for extra protection. He then threw an immediate punch for the woman's kneecap, even though she lifted her leg back before it could hit. He tried to kick her leg out after that, but the woman nimbly somersaulted and flipped back on top of another desk. Stay down! Ruby fired shot after shot from her rifle that sailed through the air at blistering speeds. The woman deflected and blocked them all while dancing back on the desk. Her heels clapping on the metal of the monitor before she spun in the air and landed on the ground. Ha! Naruto popped back up and spun around, landing a spinning back kick into one of the monitors that sent it flying towards the woman. She slashed and cut the screen in half with little effort before her eyes narrowed slightly. The blonde jumped on the desk before flipping in the air with an axe kick aimed for her cranium. She easily parried him away as he skidded along the ground and turned back to face her. He yelled and threw jab after jab at the raven-haired woman's head. She easily weaved around and dodged his attacks before swinging and slashing in return. He dodged by a hair's breadth the tip of her glass weapons, threatening to cross his vital areas as she moved to kill. He blocked and stopped her attacks, the obvious weapons clashing against the orange. Or as they struggled for an instant, she dropped to the ground and swept his legs out from underneath him. She prepared for him to land and kick up back to face her, but instead he braced for the impact and stayed down. The intruder spun around and sliced the bullet in half before they hit her. Her eyes narrowed as Ruby leapt through the air and spun around, holding her side out as she cut through the air. The curved woman clashed against the glass blades in a hail of sparks. She separated Ruby, spinning her side around her like a windmill as the black clad intruder countered and blocked her. In the moment of the clash, Naruto sprung up and wrapped his arms around the woman's waist. He roared as he lifted her off of her feet and threw her through the air. She flew over the desk before landing harshly behind one. Ruby prepared her rifle to fire as Naruto leapt on top in preparation to jump her. However, when he reached the one she had fallen behind it was only to find it empty, except for an arrow he had pierced under the desk as it started glowing orange. It exploded violently in a massive explosion. The desk and Naruto went sailing through the air and cracked into the wall. Naruto! Ruby cried out. She looked back ahead and saw the woman slowly walk out into the aisle between the desks. Ruby's breath hitched as the luring intruder turned to face her with a glint of something dangerous in her eyes. Her twin blades fused together into a black bow and 3 arrows in her hands. She pulled them back and smiled before she let them fly. Ruby spun crescent rows around to protect herself by shattering the arrows before they reached. Still, they exploded with enough force to knock her off her feet and slam into the wall behind her. The short-haired girl gasped, falling to her knees for air and flinching before looking up. She had noticed that she had notched one more arrow into her bow and aimed it at her chest. The loud creak from the side got their attention. The double desk started to rise up while a massive orange hand curled around it. Naruto had extended the oar around his arm and was lifting the desk up with his manipulated power before throwing it at the woman at full force. She ducked underneath it as it barreled through the room and crashed out the window. Naruto quickly slid over and helped Ruby up to her feet when they had the chance. The fauna chambered his fist as the huntress grabbed her weapon, but the assailant had slipped away when they weren't looking. The elevator behind them opened up and they immediately turned to fight, only to find that general staring at them in confusion while taking in the room. His eyes settled on the 2 youngsters with a raised brow. They gulped. Hunting. Did he flake? Tell me he didn't flake. I will never forgive him if he actually flaked. Suddenly Blake stood to the side and watched as Yang barely controlled her outreach. The monkey found his tail raised to scratch his chin. That's weird. I wonder where Naruto ran off to. Blake nodded. I hope he's alright. I haven't gotten the chance to see him all night. Minato stood up as he noted the doors of the ballroom swing open with some soldiers scouting the area. His curiosity piqued as he stood up to check him. Mr. Namikaze, may I have this dance? The mature voice spoke at his side. Stole his attention from the oddity of the soldier's arrival. The young lady at his side had appeared without him even noticing, which was quite a surprise considering how she looked. She was quite lovely, getting straight looks and gazes from blushing boys and girls alike. And despite not looking around, she seemed aware of the attention she coveted. Minato tried to slip by. Young lady, perhaps you would like to dance with her. I saved the last dance for you, sir. She took his hand before he could step away, placing it upon her hip. As she pulled herself closer towards him, the older blonde realized he wasn't going to get away until he surrendered and took the dance instead. I began to dance with her as the last song played, and the remaining couples had their last moment together. The raven-haired woman tilted her head, and her hair is cascading over her shoulder as she noted, "Is something the matter? You look distracted." It might just be my imagination. Minato finally took a breath and a moment to relax as he danced. He looked down at his partner before realization hit. Aren't you the young lady that visited my study when the semester began? You recognized me. I'm flattered. She flirted her eyelashes and showed a faint beatific smile. I've been quite busy with schoolwork and other matters, so I haven't gotten around to many of your seminars. I did visit a few though, and my teammates regularly told me how informative they were. Oh, well, thank you, but you haven't done them in the last few weeks, she noted while they turned. May I ask why? Oh, well, this has nothing to do with the trouble you got into, Minato sighed. I guess everyone knows about it by this point. Yeah, I got into some trouble and I had to postpone the seminars for the time being. These last few months have been quite hectic, she chuckled before looking down at his dance partner. I suppose your semester was calmer than mine. Oh, let's not be hasty. Cinder's amber eyes glinted in the light. There's still some time left. Who knows what will happen? Extra decaf, part 4. I'm not. Wow, never thought they would come when I ran out of ammo. Coco pulled her trigger as nothing came out at the end of her minigun. She swallowed the dryness in her throat before turning to her teammates. Val, Fox, anything left in the tank? I can't lift my arms. Velvet's clothes were scuffed and marked. The girl's face twisted and tired from the strenuous effort. Fox was beside her on one knee and nursing a strike he had received to the ribs while he was holding off the nurse. Velvet opened her eyes. Coco! Yatsu! The fashionista turned to her large friend as he was still standing, even if he was using his sword to stand instead of his legs. She groaned and looked up. Damn it! The village was almost cleared. The Grimm that had invaded were slaughtered by them in a mighty show of force and power. But despite their valiant efforts and the many monsters that fell, there were still some coming into the opening and stalking for prey. The only ones remotely close to prey were the 4 students exhausted from holding back an army of Grimm. Coco gritted her teeth as she closed her weapon and turned it into a bag. She took a step forward and prepared to face the first Grimm she spotted. Her teammates called out for her to stop, but she was too tired to listen. They had come all this way just to die to these damn freaks. She still had breath, heavy, short, and beleaguered as it was. And she still had her team to protect, which you would to her last breath. A beowulf spotted her and charged forward. The hunters reeled her back to strike them. They were too tired to notice the beowulf flying over the town. After all the others had left, they were too tired to stumble back from the mighty meteor that crashed into the ground. In a flash of silver streaks, all the Grimm that had started surrounding them were shredded to pieces. The beowulf that had faced off with Coco was vivisected and fell apart in 2 pieces, leaving a different wolf in its place. The faunus man stood before the team, lightning crackling off the knife in his hand, while his faded white tail swayed behind him. They told me a team of Beacon students was holding the town while they helped everyone evacuate. I feel the worst considering how much time had passed, but I guess Beacon is still pushing out some truly remarkable teams. The man faced the young group of exhausted hunters and smiled. Don't worry, I'll take things from here. You just get some rest. They would have been reassured from his smile, except for the fact of his face was hidden by a face mask, and he had a scar down one eye. They didn't even know if he really was smiling. End of chapter 68.